Sprite has a lot of sugar in it. I like Sprite. Yeah. Oh, it ran by the foot. Well, folks, we're on the home stretch, but we have got a terrific speaker to wrap things up. Jamila Bey is with us, and we're very excited to have her here. She's been a journalist for 15 years, it says here. Is that right? Wow. She was an editor at National Public Radio's Morning Edition for 4 years, and then she became a full-time freelance journalist. Would you describe yourself as a freelance journalist to this day?
I've sold out and took it big. I'll still always do a story for anybody.
She's been busy. She's the creator and chair of National Press Club's Freelance Committee. She's dedicated to eradicating the scourge that is fear of pitching among journalists and PR folks alike. That's what it says. Did you write this?
I gotta give you an updated
Are you currently with Voice of Russia Radio? All right, we've got one fact here we can rest it on. Without further ado, I give you Jamila Bey. Thank you.
Greetings, one and all. I know it's been a long day. I first of all would like to thank CFI for putting on this wonderful event today. It's been deeply enlightening, a lot of fun, and I thank you for all of the opportunities to imbibe sugary sodas and have snacks, because that keeps us running. I have changed the talk I'm going to give today because, well, I'm the one with the microphone and I can. What I'd like to talk about this afternoon, I hope will sort of bring to some little happier conclusion than the gloom and doom talk I had planned. I was going to scare, we need better rhetoric, scare the hell out of, but it's a city in Michigan. I wanted to scare everyone with the rhetoric of politics, particularly as we're going into an election season in 2012. But instead today, I will talk about what the right does right and why we should not allow ourselves to stay left back. What can we do? Where should we go? Dude in the shirt, this is for you. There are a number of things the right doesn't do right, but I'm going to illuminate some things that I think we all need to learn from as organizers, as individuals, and as members of various groups. My background, I am a journalist. I've been doing it for 15 years, almost 16, so you can do the math. I put myself through college as a reporter, and I've learned a lot about what helps to get coverage. The right can shape the narrative. They tell stories that get people excited and engaged. I argue it wasn't the first profession, the oldest profession. It wasn't what they tell us it was. The oldest profession is storytelling. You know, somebody ran and went, ugh, and somebody else went, what happened? And then journalists said, I saw, blah, blah, blah. That is what moves people. That's what engages us. That's what brings us together. And that's what we need to do more of. So, let's talk about how we could be a little more media savvy. I'm putting on my editor, journalist cap right now, and I want to talk about what the right does right. They write op-eds. We're starting to do some of that, but they are on that. They're writing opinions, they're writing letters to the editor. They're making their positions known for those of us who have the ability to publish them or broadcast them. Now with the internet, we're doing a great job of blogging, and we are doing wonderfully on social media. Do not discount traditional media, who's been doing it for a while. People still turn to the newspapers of record. People still love to turn on their televisions and get stories. We need to do a better job about thinking about how we can get included. Well, how can we get included? I'm glad you asked that question. Everyone here is an expert in something. And sometimes that means that you, me, we could be a source. Now, this is where I have to go all preachery on you because, rhyming helps. So the three things that we need to do, we need to be reachable, we need to say something teachable, and we need to give the journalist ideas that are leachable. I'm sorry, I wish there was a cuter animal I could reference, but it didn't rhyme. What does it mean when we're reachable? Okay, here's where I pick on you. All right. So I'm here today and I meet the wonderful James Mercer, who is a scientist, and he speaks so well, and he's just a wonderful person. And I said, hey, a story came up, right? His book, am I right? Okay, there we go. So a story came up this week. I needed a geologist, and I said, oh, I wish I'd known you. I could have. I said, give me your information. Do you have a card? He said, oh. I said, wait, no, you got a book. Write it down. I'm picking on you because I love you, and this is a very teachable moment. He wrote for me so neatly and legibly his name and his email address. Now, this is something we do horribly. When you need somebody on the right, they say, here's my number, here's my sister's number, I spend a lot of time with her, here's my kid's periodontist number, he's getting some work done, and every Tuesday and Thursday you can reach him, the secretary, Grace, she's wonderful, tell her I said hi if you need her. My pager doesn't always work, but in a pinch, if these others, try my pager. They are on it. I don't ever have to dig when it comes to finding somebody on the right who's willing to talk. So I had to say, Mr. Mercer, I'm picking on you because you did exactly what a lot of us do. We don't think about how can I make it easy to make myself found. I personally can't do it alone. I love to use people for whatever topic. It's nice if I like to use people I know are good. I tend to circle in this group. So if we happen to be talking about a subject that's, non-theistic church and state issue, that's great. But sometimes I just need a geologist. Sometimes I need a history teacher. And if I know who you are and where you are, I'm going to go to you. So that's just something that I think we need to do better. We need to make ourselves as sources reachable. You need to say something teachable. What does that mean? Well, every time you have the opportunity to speak to a journalist, please put a couple facts in that people didn't know going in, because that's how you get that. It's not just about sound bites. It's about putting something in there that the journalist goes, I didn't know that, look it up. Wow, that's true. I'm gonna put that in my story. It gives you a credibility so that I might come back to you. It also, lets you help to shape the story that's told. I keep hitting that, hold on, forgive me. You would think I'd never seen one of these things before. Give me ideas that are leachable. Well, leachable rhymes with the other two. You're up against people who have, what are those things? Bots that send out press releases for everything. I scratched my backside, I did this, that, the other. If you've got an idea, something that's going on, a conference that's going on, a protest that you can be, let us know. Some of us are looking for stuff. I have to tell people all the time, there are friendlies and news organizations all over. A lot of times we are overworked, we are understaffed, and if you give me a press release that's got something in there that I didn't know, and it's got numbers where I can reach you and not just a website. If you give me, I know, I'm sorry to keep picking on you, but I need to drive that home. There are a number of times I get these things and I go, I would have gone if I'd gotten it more than a day in advance. I'd have gone if I could have called somebody. When something happens and you let us know, sometimes we actually show up to these things. Barbara Forrest, who spoke so wonderfully earlier today, Director of the National Center for Science Education, National Center for Science Education. She is my new girl crush, I have to admit. Sorry, Melody, where are you? Where's Melody? Oh, well. Melody's just been usurped. I'm very sorry. When Dr. Forrest explained how she stood her ground in not letting some reporter tell her what the story was and who she was going to be up against, we can do that. We have to be able to take our power and say, here's the story, here's what it is. Wait a minute. I'm not going to come on for you if Bill O'Reilly calls you, do what you want to do. I'm not giving you advice when there are millions but for your local media, don't let them tell you, well, we need you to do the other side to this if you don't think it's fair. And sometimes it's not fair. The easy way to show balance is say, okay, we found somebody on the right, we found somebody on the left, let them fight it out. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You can say, hey, this is what we're talking about. There's no other side to this law passed. Yes, I happen to be from an organization that works for the separation of church and state, or I happen to be with an organization that, talks about girls in STEM fields, or whatever it is. It's not, you don't have to fall into that either or. And trust me, we listen. When you know your topic, when you know what you're able to talk about, when you are able to be a good reference, we like you, we want you, we'll use you. Sometimes we got to listen to somebody who's got a higher rank than us, and we'll go, we'll call you later. We'll call you later. Maybe not on this story. I hope this reporter gets back with Dr. Forrest, but just know that is a power that we all have. That is something we can all do. Please don't forget that. Now, what else does the right do right? Well, I want to talk about myself for a second, because I was Little Miss, oh, it's just me in this world, la, la, la. And then I did what a lot of women do. I got pregnant, intentionally. It was kind of fun. So I had a child, and then I realized the right is all over schools. They get them little. My kid has already been invited to a debate league. He is just over 3. Let me tell you how this happened. I got an email from a homeschooling cooperative league, forwarded kind of thing. And my son was invited. The rule is, once he turns 3, and they knew when his birthday was, and they got me a month or so before his birthday. When your son turns 3, you can bring him to junior debate. The rule is he has to sit with mommy. When he's 5, he can start debating. When he's 6, he can start to travel. By the time he's 10, he will be a champion. Now, full disclosure, I won many a plastic trophy in my day in debate in high school. And so that type of language was really appealing to me, and I was like, get it done, Then I realized, oh, this is a Christian debate league. And we had to agree to sign a, what's the form they make you do? The Testament of Faith, So, true, this is a homeschooling-based thing, but I will tell you, anybody who lives in this area knows how homeschoolers are starting to, make their stand, and We know they can all spell. It ain't just Aquila who's doing well with that. But they're doing a wonderful job of influencing young minds and young people. School boards. DC's a little different. The highest office one can hold in the district is mayor, so everything gets uber politicized in this city. So DC residents, take a break for a moment. What am I doing wrong? Oh. I'm so embarrassed. Yeah, the radio reporter can't use a mic. Oh. I'll try, okay. For those of us who live in areas where school boards have a lot of power, we need to know what they're doing. Whether or not we need to run for school board, that's a whole other talk, and I actually give that one, but I'm not going to do that now because I'll start ranting. We need to know what the school boards are saying. We need to know who's on the school boards. We need to know what's going on. We also need to support our teachers, particularly our science teachers. Sending a note, just going to the school and saying, hi, I'd like to talk to your science teacher, here I am. I'm a resident of this community. I need to know what our children are learning. Are we asking our science teachers any questions like, who's the biology teacher? What are you teaching? Can I see the book? A number of our teachers feel as though they're not being supported. Now, hold on, and this is where I'm going to go to my phone. I'm not texting, I promise. There is a story I am covering. Where are we? Here we go. There's a story I'm covering this week here in Washington, D.C., and let's see, Dr. Forrest is not going to attend, but she knows about it. This week, there's a conference called Thinking Evolutionarily, the Evolution Education Across the Life Sciences, a national convocation organized by the National Research Council and the National Academy of Sciences. That's good news. That's good news. One of the things, they've got all these bullet points, but one of the things that they say they want to offer is guidance for authors and publishers of biology textbooks, and offering other teaching resources about ways to integrate evolutionary principles into their products. How does that affect you? Any of you know of student groups that meet nearby? We have to go after our young people. We know that 30% of Americans under 30 classify as being without any religion. Now, that doesn't mean that they're all, using the atheist word, but it does mean that our influence can be seen in them. It does mean that they can be willing to hear our points of view. We know that these younger Americans are less likely to believe that homosexuality is sinful and commit you to a fiery pit. They don't mind the race mixing so much. And we also know that they are definitely being affected by the next point I have. Hold on, here we go. Okay, speech back in front of me. We skeptics and we who believe in science cannot allow ourselves to be left out of the conversations. We can do a number of things to help get our stories told. What the right does right is that they are compelling. We call ourselves cats. We say we cannot be herded. We don't compel our folks to action. Our young people disagree with this, and so should all of us. Are you a woman? I am. Not all of you are. I like women. Might you ever need reproductive care? Are you aware that there is legislation before our Congress right now that is being called the Let Her Die bill? If you are a woman, if you care for a woman, you need to understand that this affects you. Allowing people to use their religious and theocratic value system to influence the medical care that every one of us would be subject to even if we're just going for routine care, we need to have our voices heard. We need to start saying, I disagree. I'm going to make a phone call. I'm going to talk about this. Anyone ever have to fight for custody of a child? Or know someone who's had to fight for custody for a child? We need to tell our stories. Personally, someone very near to me is in this particular situation, and his ex-wife said to the judge, Your Honor, let me read some of the book titles that my husband has on his shelf that my kid could get into. The God Delusion. God is not great. How religion poisons everything. Your Honor, I don't believe that my ex-husband is going to care for the spiritual well-being of my child. Depending on where you live, that judge might go, well, gosh golly, you're right. Full custody. It happens. It happens. See, the thing is, the right has been telling stories similar to that. They've been going, you know, my little Jenny had to sit in class next to a colored boy. Or now they're saying, depending on where you are, now little Jenny's either sitting next to like an illegal kid or, you know, a gay kid or something. But what they are able to do that more of us need to do is to tell a story that makes people understand the stakes matter. The stakes are high. And the stakes happen right now. The right does right organization. Now, there are a lot of people who are experts in organization and how to get it done, and we can definitely take some notes from them. But one of the things that they are when they're organizing is that they're out. They're out. They're wearing their jewelry. They're wearing jackets. They've got on shirts that you got to go and flip through a book and pick the verse out that they've got on them. Who here hasn't seen a tattoo? You know, I'm not even going to get into the verses that say you can't get a tattoo, but whatever. They do that. They identify themselves. Football, oh, yeah, oh, that guy, yeah, you know. Yeah, you know, I believe in the one true way of the Steelers, so, you know, that's, you know, but they're out. And I understand that that's a particular journey that some of us are farther along in. I don't particularly care what my family thinks about me. They've never liked me, so that's not a big deal for me to, you know, risk them not talking to me anymore, because whatever. But for those of us who can let people know who we are, or even just saying, yeah, I need to see some evidence for that, we have to stop allowing ourselves to tacitly give support to those who assume we think as they do, particularly if we don't. I understand, though, that we need better rhetoric as left folk. What else? Preach to the choir. What's a good synonym for that? I'm talking to like minds, but that's not as poetic. I'm preaching to the choir. Anyhow, I'll just keep preaching to the choir when I say I know that many of us are getting better at being out. We need to support others who might not be able to say it yet. We'll just keep being friends with them and sending them nudges on Facebook. Facebook always works. When the right is organized and the right is out and the right is identifiable, they group up and, like Melody, my former girl crush, said, they give money. Now, when God tells you to give 10% of your salary, blah, 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 that's hard. God said it, you know, open my wallet, I got to. When you cast off such beliefs and you realize that it's your choice and your volition to give, we need to start putting our money into, is that stop or is that 5? Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay. Sorry. Debate training, that means stop. Stop, I'm sorry. They tithe They volunteer. They bring their kids along. We, every so often, send a few hundred kids around the country to a camp for a week, and we're like, yay! Reason and logic is very good, but we're up against people who do it at least once a week. We're getting better. There's still work to do. I think part of our work has to be we need to start telling our students and our children more mythology. Give them something to fight the Jesus story with, you know. I deeply hope that my nephew and my own son will someday say, oh, Jesus, he's just like Osiris. Oh, no? Apollo. No, Apollo was the light bringer. He rode the... No? There's a different one? Other people disagree. We wait too long, particularly those of us who want our children to find their own path and do their own thing. We wait too long. And we wait until our kids first hear the side of the story that we might not agree with. There's nothing wrong with, and this is my own personal thing, there's nothing wrong with telling your kids, yeah, they're Bible stories, they're great stories. So is Aesop. Yeah, it's all, you know, people have long made up the way the world believed. So we need to do that as well. The thing that the right does most right, I would argue, is they run for office. They run for office. Sometimes they run for office as sacrificial lambs, and they get their friends to vote. Yes, the Occupy people tend to skew much younger than the Tea Party, but what demographic in this country casts most ballots? Tea Party or Occupy? We've still got work to do. We've got a lot going for us. We've got fact on our side. We know that thank you for the panel. Now I'm like, oh, fact's not enough. But we do have that. And there is something to be said for being right and having the truth. We are wonderful people. We're likable. We've got amazing stories. We need to share them. We need to respond when a journalist who's on deadline and needed you 20 minutes ago picks up the phone and says, can you please talk to me? Please talk to me. So that when somebody else Googles your name, you come up as a source, and then they'll use you again. And then maybe when it's a topic that you are really wanting to talk about, they'll say, oh, well, this is somebody who can, you know, talk to media on these things. Well, I hear you're doing a non-belief thing. What's that about? Open mic or open pen. We have a lot of power. We need to stop thinking that we can't make a difference. Last thing, and I've got to quote Christian mythology to do it. Wherever how many or more are gathered, how many does it take? There you go. Wherever two or more are gathered in some name or something. But it was just the two thing that compelled me. We're not alone. We're not alone. We need to stop thinking that we're alone. Movements start with dedicated people. You and me and you, two. We can take this, we can take it forward, we can share it with somebody else, and we can just let our voices be heard and let it be known that we're here. What can we do next? We can take a page from the right, and we can, you know, stop. It's hard. It's going to be hard. It's going to take a while. But you know what? They're in it for eternity. Maybe we can give it a couple decades. Let's try. Any questions? Wow. It is cold. Yeah, it was hot and it's cold. I thought it was, I thought I don't know.
I think one of the things we need to talk about as well as a question is how do we stop being defensive? How do we stop framing everything as this is the way they're saying it and how we have to explain how this is how it really is. We need to frame it that this is how it is. How do you defend that? at crap you believe. That's what I want to see, because if we're always on the defense, we always have to prove.
Two things. Number one, Greta Christina did this wonderful talk that came from one of her blog posts about why are atheists so angry, and how we have. Well, I am. My personality is such that I really love a good row, and there is nothing better than a debate, and I like being in the defensive position, because that means I get to go on what you get to say. But if that's not the position that you wish to speak from, if you want to do the less defensive way, I think that requires, number one, it depends on the venue. But let's say if you're having a conversation, or pitching a story. See, this is why I'm all about pitching stories to media. Everybody can do that. Because when you are able to say, here is what's happening, here is a group of people getting together to do this thing, or here is a student who has done this thing, or whatever, you get to frame it the way you want. If someone comes to you and says, well, you just want to be godless, and you just want to be immoral and just rape and pillage because you don't have a God, the only response, I don't know how to respond to that in a way that's not defensive, because a lot when you are approached such a way, so that means that we either need to start making the approaches, or we need to say, that sounded confrontational. Can you pose it in a different way? What is it that you're getting at?
Between morality and ethics. That's my major thing.
Oh,
You're telling
yeah,
me all this God stuff's about being moral and just.
See, I'd
What
love to
about
pull
being
out. I'd
lawful
love to
and
pull out
ethical?
the slavery references and the
you don't
the
wanna be a
beating your
victim.
children and beating your wife, and it's okay as long as you pay your father and marry, or those references. But I think that it's an issue of the situation you're in, who gets to frame the debate, and trying not to be. I love being defensive. I'm very good at it, and it's my own personal bias that I'm kind of hurt. Hi.
One of the biggest issues that I notice is that when the left are telling something, we equivocate a lot. It's, well, global warming's happening if you take these assumptions to be correct, and we go into a really long explanation of why we think it's happening and why we think it's a problem and what we think we can do. And on the other side, they just say, well, God said that he wasn't going to kill the world again, so therefore it can't possibly be happening. Bullshit's a lot quicker and easier to say in a soundbite.
That's true.
How do we
true.
fight back?
Well, the right does some things really well. They do talking points, and talking points are very easy to say because they're little snippets that get your message across. God said it, I believe it. Let it be. Get her done. Things you can say over and over and over that don't actually advance anything, but just hammering home your point. Now, it's possible to come up with talking points that can be put forward in a debate. This requires a larger approach. This isn't a simple fix. I won't be pinned down to that question. Your question's wrong. Explaining things is a large undertaking a lot of times. We don't always get the opportunity to just go, get her done, God said it, I believe it, get her done. But what we can do is we can say, look, here is point one, global warming is fact. Global warming is fact. The National Academy of Sciences have put forth this evidence. Global warming is fact. The person he references has been discredited. You're referencing a discredited source. Sir, your source is bad. Can we have a debate here, or is he just going to get to yell at me things that have been debunked? I would, oh, my dream, having a left, an atheist debate camp, because we need, it requires a little bit of practice. Hopefully our first time doing it is not with a camera rolling in our face, but these are things that we can be thinking about, and these are things that we can do amongst ourselves at meetings. And, there's always the dinner table at Thanksgiving when Uncle Prophet makes you wants to talk. Maybe it's just me with an uncle who makes you call him Prophet, but yeah, family dinners. But then again, I don't mind if they don't invite me back, So I do admit that, I decided to, after listening to the earlier speakers, one of the things that, I kept feeling rise within me is, there are things we can do. There are stories we can tell. You know what? Yeah, young people can make a difference. They bring their babies home wrapped in blankets with crosses on them. Or maybe that's just my family, but we got an aunt that embroiders, and it's really beautiful. And then they lay their babies in bassinets with pictures of who over the cribs, icons of what over the cribs. We're waiting till we can sort of read Dawkins and Hitchens on our own. Too late. We need to do a better job of letting children ask questions and saying, you know what? I don't know either. Let's find it out. Particularly those who live in this area with these wonderful museums. Sponsor. I wish that more of us would sponsor a scientist to go into a school and give a talk. Give an idea to a kid that maybe they can grow up and fix some of this stuff. Maybe they can do something themselves. Because every little child who goes to Sunday school knows that they can grow up and be a preacher. I'd much rather have a few more scientists, because if something on me breaks, I don't want somebody praying. I want them fixing it. So that's something that I kept feeling like, oh, yeah. Get them young, learn, get them young. We need people to do limericks or write songs or something. Easy, quick, repetitive things that, we can get them young. Father Abraham had many. You don't know, okay, maybe, good. We don't know the camp song that's driven into my skull about we're all the Abrahamic religions, we're all brothers, let's just praise the Lord. Anyway, yeah, my kid sings Hasadiga Ibawai from the Book of Mormon, but I realize that not everybody wants such blasphemy so young, but I feel like, you know what, boy, you're 3. It's time. Yeah. We are small, but we are mighty. It sticks in there. We have amazing stories. We can be telling them. We have a lot of very smart people who don't think they want to be joiners, but you know what? We don't have that luxury anymore. There is a fight, and it's been brought to our door. If we believe that rights are these things that can't be voted on because they're rights, we need to not acquiesce. We need to say, hey, that is a religious point. The only reason you are arguing this is it's because your religious background. That is not legitimate. We are going to fight you. We are going to talk about why it's wrong, and we need to keep doing that, preferably at the dinner table. Maybe with a sandwich board. That's for, I don't know. Sandwich boards are a little iffy. I'll do a sandwich board, but then again, I like being the confrontational one. I'll do a sandwich board on a Sunday morning outside of a church. Who's with me? It only needs 2. So there we go. I am right. I mean, that's one message, but, So there we go. Any other questions? Huh?
What was that science event next week, Teaching Evolution?
I'm glad you asked. Again, not texting. I just email on my phone is more expedient than email on my pad here. This is October 25th, 26th, and it's a bunch of groups. They are meeting. I think they're meeting at, it says National Academy of Sciences, so I am happy to forward this to you because it does require a registration, but that's all. No, I'm a journalist on the media list, so they just sort of send me this stuff because I asked for it.
The website?
Maybe see if IBC could post it.
Yeah, this is, this is a National Academy of Sciences, nas-sites.org, so they'll, but I'll happily give you that. Got an iPhone, can we bump? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, see, kids, that's another thing. Science, there was a time when I was a little girl and I would come home in the afternoon and Mr. Wizard's World would be on. Yeah. And all kinds of kids, some of them really cute, and I tuned in hoping to see some cute boy doing science. But, it made the wonderful, it drove home the wonderful point that everything you do is science. And that's a story that we're not telling. Anytime texting, that's science. You like makeup that doesn't blind you when you accidentally poke your eye out? That's science. You like to eat and not die? That's science. It all works. It's not about, it's like, okay, God said it, you believe it, that's great. When you get sick, do you only pray? Now, there are some people who do. We need to make that illegal. But, we do live in a society that's, anti-intellectual in general. I mean, I gotta admit, I was a fan as a child. They're bringing Beavis and Butthead back next week. Yeah, Beavis and Butthead, all new, October, I'm not gonna, they don't pay me to plug, but Google it. Yeah, they're bringing back Beavis and Butthead. People know who all the singers and actors and all this are. I mean, I'm not even expecting that they love Neil deGrasse Tyson as much as I do, but we need to know who the people who are making our world as it is are, and that means that we need to educate in general. We need to educate our big people, but we really need to get them young. And we need to support those who are doing our work. So, yay. Okay, I guess that's my time.